Krishna Kirtana Gana Latana Prabhu Premamritam Banidhi Veera Veera Jana Priya Priya Karo Nemar Karam Pujito Sri Chaitanya Kripa Bharau Bhuvi Bhuva Bhara Tarak Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghu Jugo Sri Vago Palaka Rupa Sanatana Raghu Jugo Krishna Kirtana Gana Krishna Kirtana Gana Natana Paramu Prema Metamani Veera Veera Jana Priya Priya Karo Mimma Pujitam Sri Chaitanya Kripa Bharau Sri Chaitanya Kripa Bharau Bhuvi Bhuva Bharava Antaraka Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghu Jugo Sri Bhagavata Vicharanai Kamipunam Sadharma Samasthapak Lokanam
Hare Krishna, good evening. Nice to be here together again through this virtual space. So we are eternally indebted to our beloved Srila Prabhupada because he mercifully taught us by his own perfect example how to serve Krishna with love and devotion. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prashadine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Pashata Deshatarine. He very kindly gave us the Nectar of Devotion. It's a summary study of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that was compiled by Srila Rupa Goswami. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Svapadantikam. Srila Rupa Goswami is the leader of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. We honor, we worship these 6 Goswamis as our Shiksha Gurus. Vanchakalpatarubhyacha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Because they have written so extensively about this science of loving devotion that we are using in our daily practice. Very, very useful, very, very incredible useful in our daily lives as practitioner devotees. So they did all that following the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Is the original teacher of this science of devotion, loving devotion. He actually came, is Krishna, came particularly to relish this loving devotion and distribute it to the people of Kali Yuga. Most fortunate souls of Kali Yuga, us, who are recipients of this mercy. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. And we know Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a combination of Radha and Krishna. So this is the highest manifestation of love of God. There's nothing higher. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we sing that one of the Sat Goswami Astakas that Srila Prabhupada was singing in his bhajan. This is the main one that you sing before a lecture of the Nectar of Devotion. Nana Shastra Vicharane Kanipuno Sadharma Samstapako Lokanamita Karino Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanya Karo Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandena Mataliko Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyugo Sri Jiva Gopalako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyugo Sri Jiva Gopalako. Very beautiful composition of prayers by Srinivasa Acharya. So let's read the meaning of this one, because it really concerns us. We offer our respectful obeisance unto the 6 Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, Sri Gopala Bhatt Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus they are honored all over the 3 worlds, and that they are worth taking shelter of, because they absorb in a mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. So what is the highest achievement in life, my dear devotees? Anyone, what do you consider the highest achievement in life? Madhuri Radha, what is the highest achievement in life, in your opinion?
Hare Krishna. Is that to serve the Lord?
To serve the Lord? Can you say more? In love,
Love.
devotion. So to attain pure love.
Love.
to attain pure love for Krishna
Krishna.
is the highest achievement, is the highest goal. Yes, yes, thank you. And in order to attain this highest goal of life, this pure love of Krishna, what do you need to do, Jaya Suchitra Devidasi? What you need to do, Jaya Suchitra Devidasi, in order to achieve this highest goal of life? Suchitra, can you turn on your microphone and tell us what we should do in order to attain this highest goal of life, pure love of Krishna? Lalita, maybe you can help. What should we do to attain this highest goal of life?
How to say, yes, to learn from the one is already attained this platform.
So it means we have to practice. We have to practice what that person already have achieved. We have to practice pure devotional service. Yes, we have to practice pure devotional service perfectly. Then we will achieve pure love of Krishna. But then in order to practice perfectly pure devotional service, we need to know very clearly, without any doubt, we need to know what pure devotional service is and what pure devotional service is not. So it's very important to know, to memorize the meaning of pure, what means pure devotional service. Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanavritam anukulyena Krishna shilanam bhaktirutama. For those of you who are good in Sanskrit, in reading Sanskrit and memorizing Sanskrit, please memorize this verse because it's very powerful. Is the main verse of the all Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Such an important work of. So let's read the translation. Pure devotional service is an activity intended to please Krishna without ulterior motive and not covered by philosophical or fruitive pursuits. Perfect. So the primary characteristics, let's see. Okay, this is a quick review. Bhaktin Jinki, can you remember one of the primary characteristics? All the three, if you can remember, is even better.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Ashu Prabhu. First primary characteristics is pure devotional services for Krishna. Second, pure devotional service is an active engagement. Third, pure devotional service is executed with favorable intent.
Wow, you got everything. You took your notes. Smart. Very smart. So remember this. Remember this. Very important to remember this. Pure devotional service is for Krishna, for Krishna's pleasure. And remember, we say when you speak about Krishna, we are speaking about Krishna personally, or his expansion, or his incarnation, or his devotees, or even his holy dham, or his paraphernalia, things used in his service. Yeah. So here you can see the first one. The first one is for Krishna. Anukulyena Krishna is mentioned there in a verse. The second one, Anushilanam. Anushilanam means an activity following our previous teachers and our present teachers, you know. And Anukulyena, favorable, means really with intent to please Krishna. Focus on pleasing Krishna. So these are the characteristics we should always remember. Always remember. They are primary characteristics. And then there are the secondary characteristics. Okay, Let's see, Jonah, do you remember one of the secondary characteristics? Jonah, do you remember one of the secondary characteristics?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I have taken notes of the primary characteristics.
But we have not taken notes of the secondary
secondary.
characteristics.
Yes, the Prabhu.
Oh,
My notes are all scattered in the floor. I cannot find them.
okay, no problem. Moksha Lakshmi, do you remember one of the secondary characteristics? One of the secondary characteristics.
Sorry, I'm sorry, Ashu Prabhu. Sorry. Can't
You-
remember.
Pure devotional service has to be
Ah.
free from ulterior motive.
Yes, yes.
Yes. And pure devotional service should not be covered by jnana or karma or any other pursuits. Means free from some desire for sense gratification, free from the desire of liberation, free from the desire, even yoga or any other pursuits. It's only meant to please Krishna and should be without any ulterior motive, not something that we have been harboring for a long time, that is an intense desire in our hearts to satisfy through devotional service. No, it's not meant for that. Pure devotional service is meant to please Krishna without any ulterior motive. Yeah. So remember this. Very important. We can read again the translation. So see, pure devotional service is an activity intended to please Krishna without ulterior motive and not covered by philosophical or fruitive pursuits. Very, very important. And then we start studying the characteristics of pure devotional service. This is from chapter 1 that you are supposed to review. So the first one we saw was kleshagni. This word klesha means distress or suffering. And also it refers to the causes of suffering. So pure devotional service eliminates, not only it gives material relief from all material distress, means eliminates distress and the causes of distress. Remember, we saw suffering. That's what we all experience, suffering in this material world. And we saw what was the direct cause of suffering. Remember? Direct cause of suffering was our sinful activities. Yeah. We do wrong, then we suffer a reaction. And why we do wrong?
Material desire.
Yes, because we have material desires. And why do we have material desires?
Ignorance.
Yeah, ignorance, the root cause. So these are the causes of suffering. Avidya, ignorance, bijam, material desire, papam, sinful action. Because of this, we suffer, beginning with ignorance. But pure devotional service can get rid of all of these causes. And we saw that chart that shows us how it goes. Because of ignorance, what kind of ignorance are we talking about here? What kind of ignorance are you talking about, Madhuri Radha? What is this? Oh, Jinky, you want to answer?
Ignorance
Okay,
is
go.
forgetfulness of our true identity, of our constitutional position, which is that we are eternal servants of Krishna.
Yes, very good. Yes, this is our real ignorance. We may be the most qualified with so many PhDs in science and this and that, and we are totally, utterly in ignorance. And you can be a poor fellow living in a countryside who does not even know how to read and to write, and be completely free from ignorance. So because of ignorance, we identify with our bodies and we develop desires, material desires. Desires are always there. But you're talking about material desires, sinful desires. Sinful desire means any desire that has nothing to do with the desire to serve Krishna. So because of sinful desires, we engage in sinful activities, sinful actions. And because of sinful actions, initially, excuse me, initially, the reaction is not immediately manifest, but eventually it's going to manifest and we're going to suffer emotionally or physically. That's many. When you are suffering means it's already manifest, a reaction, but it can be from the stage of unmanifest. There is something that is even more dangerous, is we develop a sinful tendency to do the same thing, the same bad activity, sinful tendency. And this is the worst thing. Because of that sinful tendency, you're going to develop, again, sinful desires and engage in sinful activities. And this way, the circle of suffering in this material world perpetuates because of this. Remember this, avidya, ignorance. So be always reminded, we are Krishna's servants. We are meant only to please Krishna, not for to develop sinful desires or engage in sinful activities, because this is very dangerous, makes us being caught in this cycle of suffering within this material world. And we don't know how many lifetimes we have been here because of this. So now, because of practice of devotional service, what's happening? The unmanifest and manifest reactions are being destroyed. And the sinful desires and sinful activities are stopped. Because of pure devotional service, even our sinful tendency will be annihilated. And eventually, even all ignorance will be uprooted. And this is the only efficient and successful way to deal with suffering. And then as a result, we attain auspiciousness. Our lives become very auspicious. And this is this is just a beginning, just a beginning. The first characteristic, remember, relief from all suffering. And the second characteristic is subhada. Subhada means attainment of auspiciousness. They are related, because as suffering decreases, our lives become more auspicious. And we all experience that. As we stop our sinful activities and the suffering related to them, our lives become much more happier, much more auspicious. So this manifests at the stage of nishta. Nishta, when we become very steady in our practice of devotional service. Because sometimes devotees ask the question, well, if it says that we become free from all suffering and the causes of suffering, why am I still suffering? It's just because we have not achieved this stage of steadiness in our practice of devotional service. So in our practice, we go through different stages. And one stage is when we start really, we begin we come in contact with the devotees, because we think that the devotees have something to give us. We associate with the devotees, and then gradually we become attracted to accept the spiritual master and receive initiation. And then we start practicing very seriously devotional service, like most of us, I believe all of us are doing, becoming very serious in our practice. But then we have to, as we start practice seriously, what the spiritual master tells us, we start confronting so many anarthas, so many undesirable things that are there in our hearts, and they have to be removed. So when only after those anarthas are removed, we come to the stage of nishta, steady. Our practice becomes very steady, because now, because of anartha, sometimes we go forward, sometimes we go backwards, sometimes we do nice, sometimes you don't do so nice. Sometimes we are very serious, sometimes we are not very serious. We are not very steady in our practice. So when you come to this stage, nishta, steadiness, then yes, we stop suffering in this body. Yes, the body is still suffering reactions, but we are not so affected by them. We are aloof from the problems in the body, and we are more concerned how to serve better Krishna and the devotees. That's what you want to do. So in order for something to be beneficial or be auspicious, as to follow four criteria. Very important. As to benefit everyone. This is what means something auspicious. Benefits everyone. A second is that attracts everyone. The third is that produces good qualities. And the fourth one, it bestows superior happiness. So these are the four criteria that shows that something is very auspicious. And devotional service emits all these four criteria. No other practice can give us all these four: benefit everyone, attract everyone, produce good qualities, and bestow superior happiness. No other practice. Benefit everyone, and attract everyone. Srila Prabhupada explains that devotional service, the benefit of devotional service, by contrasting it, maybe you read that, contrasting that with the United Nations. United Nations were supposed to benefit everybody in the world and attract everyone, but United Nations failed. Srila Prabhupada said, now, instead of you having United Nations every time there's a new flag, a new nation who wants independence, so people are becoming more disunited. They are not so so united. So United Nations did not benefit everyone, actually. But Krishna consciousness attracts, everybody can be attracted by this movement and become benefited. Yeah. So that's why Srila Rupa Goswami and all the previous acharyas, great acharyas, they recommend us to spread Krishna consciousness is the highest welfare activity. That's why, particularly in this month, we are encouraging the devotees to distribute more books, to increase more the awareness about this science of loving devotion to Krishna that is so important for humanity. It's important for everyone. So it really benefits everyone. So we should try to do even in small means, if you cannot do in big means, in small means, try to benefit others. Very, very important. Srila Prabhupada says a person who is engaged in devotional service in full Krishna consciousness is to be understood to be doing the best service to the world and to be pleasing everyone in the world. In addition to human society, he is pleasing even the trees and animals because they also become attracted by such a movement. And we see, when you go on Harinam, so many living entities are attracted, not just human beings, animals, insects, birds, everything is on a way. They hear the holy name and they are becoming attracted. And they are benefited, even though they don't understand. Most of these people, when we chant the holy name in the street, they don't understand what we are doing, but they are hearing the holy name. And Srila Prabhupada, and it attracts everyone. And Srila Prabhupada gives the example of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, remember, going through the forest of Jarikanda on his way to Vrindavan from Jagannath Puri. And he met so many wild animals. And he was so ecstatic, he was chanting all the time on his way. He was accompanied by his servant. And suddenly all these wild animals came over and they start jumping and dancing and chanting the holy names with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You can see that the tiger, who is an enemy of the deer, was embracing the deer. They were all dancing in friendship, in harmony. And his servant was so astonished, looking on the side. So how is this possible? By the chanting of the holy names. Of course, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was chanting the holy names in so much love, in so much bliss. So naturally, all these living entities in the jungle became attracted. So attracts everyone. So and remember the other one, it produces good qualities. It does produce good qualities. And the devotee, as the example of this Mrigari, the hunter, he was such a horrible hunter. He was half killing the animals to let them die slowly, agonizing until they would die. Oh, so terrible, so heartless, so heartless. I mean, Narada Muni came there and said, how are you doing this? Why are you killing the animals in this way? If you are a hunter, just kill them. Don't half kill them. But said, this is what I learned from my father. I feel nice to see them suffering like that. So how can you feel nice? And it touched him. It made him understand what will be the reactions of his sinful activities. And Mrigari became so touched, and he said, oh, I didn't know this. I didn't know what should I do? What should I do to stop these sinful activities? And Narada Muni told him, you just stay here, build a cottage with you and live with your wife and grow your vegetables and have a Tulasi Devi and chant Hare Krishna. And then once he went there to visit his disciple, some months later, he went there with his friend Parvata Muni, and the Mrigari came out of his hut and he wanted to offer obeisance to his Guru Maharaj. And he was hesitating because there were so many hands on the ground. And he was moving them slowly with his cloth so he would not harm them when he would prostrate himself. See, he was such a sinful person, Narada Muni told Parvati Muni, but look at him now. He does not even want to hurt a hand, a little insect. So shows that it really, in very short time, of course, this is Narada Muni, is a very powerful devotee. But it means the process of pure devotional service is so powerful that even those of us who had many very sinful qualities, we can develop very, very exalted saintly qualities. That's why Srila Prabhupada said, even a very new person comes to Krishna consciousness, even if he's not very well educated, he can immediately give up illicit sex, can give up gambling, meat eating, intoxication. Whereas we can see so many educated people in the world, so many well-to-do people in the world, but they are so addicted to sinful activities. They have so many horrible qualities. So the pure devotional service is really, really very, very auspicious. So and bestows superior happiness. Yes, you can really experience higher happiness when we are with the devotees practicing together devotional service, particularly chanting the holy names. superior, much superior to any other happiness. There are three types of happiness. There is the happiness of sense gratification. We all know, just have fun in this material world, drink and be merry. You know, it's crazy. The cats and dogs also experience this type of happiness. And then there is higher happiness, the happiness of liberation. Yeah, the happiness of liberation, be free from miseries of material existence, is a very high happiness. And the happiness of mystic perfection, which is similar to liberation. But only the happiness of pure devotional service can really give us eternal happiness. Only devotional service can really give us eternal happiness. This is the highest happiness, because it's eternal happiness. And not only that, it includes all other forms of happiness. So if you think, oh, but how will we miss something if I engage in devotional service? Yeah, maybe I'll be very happy, but what about this little happiness that I experience in my sense gratification? Or, well, this is all included. All this experience of happiness we have in life, this is all included in pure devotional service, and much, much, much more happiness that cannot be found in any other types of satisfaction we experience in this world. It's much higher, much higher. So it's a good reason. It's a good reason to take to the process of devotional service. Even in the beginning, it may sound a little selfish, where we are concerned about our suffering and we are concerned about being happy. But it's okay, because by nature, we are pleasure-seeking entities. We are parts and parcels of Krishna. Krishna is always experienced great happiness. So we should also experience great happiness if we are parts and parcels of him, don't you think? Yeah, and we hanker for happiness. So what is on the way of our happiness is suffering. So we saw, if we engage in pure devotional service very steadily, yes, we get rid of all suffering, and then our lives becomes full of happiness. We attain this happiness of devotional service, and we don't hanker for any other form of happiness. It's something that sometimes the devotees don't notice so much in themselves, because they always think, very humbly, they think that they are not doing very well, they could do more. And some suffering is still there in a corner, some inconvenience, some problems. And we may think, well, where is the happiness? But actually, anybody who comes from outside and associates with the devotees, one of the first things they notice that the devotees, they look so happy, particularly when they are together. You notice that when the devotees are together, they are always so happy. You know, they are laughing, talking, you know, remember nice things, you know, hearing nice things, or singing the holy names, taking prasad together. They look always so happy, and people notice that. The devotees are so happy, so loving. Yeah. So we know that we're going to study some of this later. We go through sadhana. Sadhana means what we are going through now is the stage of practice of pure devotional service. And we are going to study only this part. But later, after our sadhana has become perfect, we attain the stage of bhava, which is the preliminary stage before prema. Bhava is just already the experience of transcendental emotions. And prema is pure love of Krishna, and the highest aspect of pure devotional service. So these are the three divisions of pure devotional service: sadhana, bhava, and prema. So we are now at the stage of sadhana. So at the stage of sadhana, we develop these two characteristics. Two characteristics that pure devotional service manifest. We become free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And the other one is shubhada. We attain auspiciousness. These are the two characteristics that we are going to experience in our stage of practice. The only thing we need to do is to practice very well and come to the stage of steadiness. When you come to the stage of steadiness, then these two characteristics fully develop. So we hope for that. So we should be very, 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 very steady in our practice. And then at the stage of bhava, these two are there naturally, and we manifest two more qualities. One is called moksha laguta kriti, we mentioned it before, and the other one is sudurlabha. Moksha laguta kriti means that the happiness of devotional service looks down on happiness of liberation. Means when you attain this happiness at the stage of bhava, the happiness of liberation looks insignificant. Now, at our stage, we think, oh, if I would be liberated from this material existence, I would be certainly very happy, no more suffering. And we through the stage of sadhana, we are going to attain this stage of liberation. We're going to become free from suffering. So this is already liberation. But at the stage of bhava, even impersonal liberation, attaining Brahman, looks insignificant. That happiness looks insignificant. And the other characteristic in a stage of bhava is sudurlabha. It means that pure devotional service is very rarely achieved. Very rarely achieved. Why? Why is very rarely achieved? Because two reasons. You cannot attain by our own efforts. No, we cannot attain by our own efforts. We cannot attain this high stage of loving devotion. Even to our beginning stage of sadhana, we need help, as much help as possible. So we cannot attain by our own efforts this loving devotion, and the reason. Another reason is that Krishna is very reluctant to give. So that's why these two reasons are very, 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 very rare, very extremely rare to achieve. It's not, we cannot obtain by our own efforts, and Krishna is reluctant to give it. Oh yeah. Means yogis, they practice for hundreds of years, controlling their breathing, remaining, complete in solitary, practicing very seriously severe method of yoga, and they may never attain pure loving devotion to Krishna. You see, they're not. And it's very rare because it's only if Krishna gives it. Wow. And Krishna gives it through his devotees, certainly. But Krishna is very reluctant to give it. Oh, only if Krishna gives. Only if Krishna gives, and Krishna is so reluctant to give it, this pure loving devotion. Why Krishna is so reluctant to give pure loving devotion? Because pure loving devotion has the power to control him. That's why Krishna is very reluctant. Krishna will give, but very reluctantly. Like, you see, he became subservient to Arjuna because of Arjuna's pure loving devotion. Became totally controlled by the love of Arjuna. So, but we're gonna see this later in the next session. Why why Krishna is very reluctant to give, and why pure loving devotion controls Krishna himself. So this is, we keep this for next time, and we have some free time now. Maybe we can discuss, if you want to discuss some of the things we have just mentioned, and yeah. And if you have any questions you like to ask, we can do it now. Okay? So I leave the floor to you. It's up to you now. Either your reflection, your comments, something that you find very interesting, because there are always certain things that pop in our, even though we may have heard it many times and read it many times, but then suddenly say, wow, it really makes sense. And we tend to give a little more value to this wonderful practice of devotional service. Yeah, certainly we value our practice of loving devotion, but we know that sometimes we are caught by so many things in our daily lives that we tend to forget the importance of pure devotional service in our lives. So by hearing these hints of what we can gain by engaging in pure devotional service, even in the stage of practice, we'll think twice. So, wow, I should be more serious in engaging in devotional service. This is so great. Even at the stage of practice, I can become free from suffering, and my life can become totally auspicious. I can attain liberation from my confinement in this material existence. Even if I'm still in this material world, I'll become totally aloof from my suffering and my material suffering, and even my material enjoyment. My life would be totally auspicious. Certainly, our lives are already becoming auspicious, even in the very, very beginning. There's no doubt, but can become much more auspicious when you become free from all suffering and all the causes of suffering. When all our material desires will be eradicated, then yes, that's the right thing we want to attain. So yes, it makes us feel that we should be more steady in our practice, develop more steadiness in our practice, because like anything else, if you want to learn any skills in life, you have to practice very steadily. Without practice, we don't get perfection. It's obvious. We have to practice. You want to learn how to play mridanga, you have to practice. You have to get the mridanga and beat the mridanga and play and play and play and play until you become expert player. Unless you're already born with that skill from your previous life, we learn very fast. But majority of us take time to practice in order to learn. I didn't learn yet because I didn't practice. So that's the problem. We don't practice, we don't learn well. We don't learn a skill. And if you want to learn well the skill, we have to practice very well. Any skill. So what to speak of pure devotional service? If you want to achieve, auspiciousness, attain really happiness in Krishna consciousness, then we have to be very, very steady. Anyone?
Hare Krishna, Ashu.
Yes.
Yeah. The word steadiness tonight really has that big impact on me, because it is very hard to be steady in the practice of Krishna consciousness. And I want to ask if this happens to all beginning devotees or struggling devotees like me, that there are moments when you don't have the taste, when you want to stop or you want to pause, you just want to give yourself time. Sometimes I call it, is this an overdose, overdose of learning new things. But at the same time, you have that fear. I always have that fear that if I pause, I would lose it all. It makes me cry when I think about it.
Yes, we all have that.
Thank you, Prabhu.
We all have that. We all go through the same situations. But the main thing is like imagine, I mean, open never happens, but imagine if you get a very serious disease and you know that the cure for that disease requires lots of austerity, giving up many habits, giving up many types of food that you like to eat, and it really requires a lot of austerity on your part in order to deal with that particular disease. You are going to do what is necessary because you know that you want to be healthy. You certainly want to be healthy, so you are going to do everything and anything the doctor says in order to come to that stage. Maybe sometimes you skip something, you fall back, some bad habit, but you know this is important because you want to be healthy. So this Krishna consciousness is much more than just being healthier. It's to be really happy. How to achieve real happiness. And in material existence, yes, there are moments where you feel very pleased, very nice, but there are so many moments where we feel so much miseries, and we see around us so many people suffering so much, and we know that we all go through all that, and the ending will be so terrible. So material existence is very frightening. So you have to develop a kind of pessimism towards material life, material existence. Become pessimistic about sense gratification. You say, yes, it seems nice, but eventually I know I'm going to suffer. No, it's not good. It's not good. Sense gratification is just is a covert form, is a disguised form of suffering, because it will bring me suffering. So no. So yes, and lack of faith sometimes, because we want the results immediately. We practice a little bit and we want immediately to be situated in a platform of pure devotional service up there without much effort. So we lose faith because it does not come like that, because we have to do our own work. It's like a student who goes to school for the first time. He should not think that because he has entered the school, he has already obtained your degree. If you enter a university, you're going to have to study and undergo so many tests. And then after 3, 4, 5 years, you get your degree, not before. You have to work hard. And this is just to attain a temporary thing. You have to undergo, and you have to have convinced that what you are studying is the right thing to get your degree, and the teachers know what they are doing, and the school is a proper school. You have to have faith in all those things, and in order to apply yourself to get a goal. So you apply yourself, and eventually you get some result. So in Krishna consciousness, it's similar. We have to be convinced that this is really the highest attainment, and we can certainly attain it, but we have to really be convinced and have full faith that this is the best thing we have to do. We are going to discuss later on these things about our different stages in our practice of devotion, and what means those stages, and how we can improve to go to a higher stage in our practice of loving devotional service. So we all go through these stages. So Don't worry, you are not alone. And many of us, we are still struggling with our steadiness, and to be really very steady. But we know it's the only way. It's the only way. There is no other way, you know. And besides that means I'll remain entangled in material life, and material life. I really already know very well what that means. You know, I see in my own life and I see around me, it's not promising. Material life, it's not promising. So let me really conclude this thing, and then let me endeavor more in my practice of Krishna consciousness. Yes, sometimes you fall back, but stand up again and continue. Srila Prabhupada gives us an example of a small child. A small child has inherent facility to walk, but in the beginning cannot walk, cannot even stand up steadily and walk. Or he may be able to stand up and walk for a little bit, and then he falls down. But we see the children, they fall down, but they stand up. They make an effort to stand up and walk a little more and fall down. And sometimes they hurt themselves and they cry, but they don't give up trying to walk. And this is just a baby, he's an ignorant baby, but he knows he wants to walk, and he's going to make the effort to walk. Of course, he's encouraged by the parents, by the friends and others, you know. So the same way, we have this inherent tendency to love Krishna. It's part of us. So now we are practicing to attain his loving devotion, and yes, sometimes we fall back, but we should stand back, stand up again. And others are there to help us, to coach us, to encourage us. Srila Prabhupada is always there. Sometimes in great despair, the devotees, they just open a book like Bhagavad Gita, any part, and they find exactly what they wanted to hear to become a little more encouraged in their negative moments, you know. So it's always, we have so much help from Srila Prabhupada's books, from the devotees, from our gurus, from amazing help. So we just need to do our part, and if sometimes we fail, don't be discouraged, stand up again and continue, because this is your natural, it's part of yourself to be a loving devotee of Krishna. It's part of you. So don't be discouraged, even though there are setbacks. There are setbacks, but don't be discouraged. It's also tests, Krishna testing. Jaya Suchitra, go, unmute yourself. Jaya Suchitra, you can unmute yourself. Jaya Suchitra, you raise your hand. Do you want to speak? You can unmute yourself. Or you can't. Why you can't? You should be able to unmute. Everybody is able to unmute. Okay, I'm making you co-host. You should be able to unmute yourself. Try now. So if you cannot unmute yourself, can you type then? You can't unmute. Oh, amazing, but others, they could. Why you cannot?
能够说的。
You could see, others they can. Some problem with your microphone. Okay, have a question. Go. Type your question, Jai Suchitra. We'll read about steadiness, yes. Go. Meanwhile, while Suchitra is writing her question, meanwhile, if any one of you wants to say something and can unmute yourself, then you are much welcome.
Ashu Prabhu.
Yes.
Yes, with regards to just a reflection also, with regards to being steady in our sadhana, I recognize that it is very important because being steady in our sadhana is a key for us to advance in a life of bhakti. So for me, to be able to be steadfast in our sadhana, I think it's very important that to help us be steadfast in our sadhana, it is helpful if we know why we are doing our sadhana, which is because we want to please Krishna, we want to serve Krishna, we want to attain the love of Krishna. If we have that in our heart, I think it would be easier for us to be really consistent and steadfast in our sadhana practice.
Exactly. That's why we are studying the Nectar of Devotion, because the more we hear about the beautiful results of this science of loving devotion, the more we become convinced that is important for us, the more we are going to become steady. If we associate with devotees who are steady, also it's a great encouragement for us to be steady and to see how those devotees who are steady, they look so happy, they're so jubilant, and so determined in doing their service, no matter what are the difficulties. And they are devotees, and they visit Brajeko village, so many devotees are so steady there, doing every day their service without fail, even if sometimes there's so much physical inconvenience, the weather and this and that. But they keep doing their sadhana, their service, very steadily. So we feel inspired by seeing them. And by hearing this type of discussions, it encourages the pure devotional service. It's such a wonderful thing. I really want to become a devotee. I have to practice, because it's really a wonderful life. It's the most wonderful life. Because if I compare this with anything I experience or I know about material life, I can see that it's so much better than any material achievement. And I have endeavored for so many material achievements in life, and look at where I am. I'm still not happy. I'm still hankering for happiness. So let me really try this process very serious, because it sounds real, the most real thing. And it is the most real thing. It's really part of us. Okay, let's say Jaya Suchitra. Thank you, Jinky. It was nice point. Suchitra, I have about steadiness. Does that mean that we have to do loving devotional service regularly? Yes, that's what it means. It means we have to practice every day, chanting every day, doing some little service for Krishna, associate with devotees. We may have our material duties to do. We may in the beginning need to be very balanced in our material life with our spiritual life, but we can gradually see how our material life, so-called material life, is actually connected also with our devotional practice, like taking care of our family or having a job and being very, very respectful person, offer respect to others, be kind. So many things we can do in our daily lives, so-called material lives, and be connected with our practice of pure devotional service. We're going to see this a lot when you're going to study the items of pure devotional service, things we can do. And then we're going to see that there are many things that even in our daily material lives, we can apply principles of devotion, But there is a particular part of our daily lives that we should dedicate particularly to practice these items of pure devotional service, like chanting, hearing the scriptures or read the scriptures. When you have opportunity to associate with devotees, either in chat or physically, you know, if you have a little altar to do a little daily worship, and like offering your food, offer some incense and flower, so little things that you can do regularly and steadily. And by doing those things, you become more and more attached, and naturally your heart starts becoming more purified, because you are more and more in touch with Krishna. And be more and more and more in touch with Krishna means we are going to develop Krishna's good, wonderful qualities. Like if you go under the sunshine, what happens? You become warm. It's inevitable. If you are under the sunshine, you're going to become warm and warmer and warmer. So it's a question of being exposed to Krishna, to Krishna consciousness. So it benefits us. So you may in the beginning just do a little bit every day, and then gradually, as we experience some satisfaction in doing that, and you feel that it's the right thing to do, then you increase by increments, a little increasing. And then you're going to see, oh, this is wonderful. Until one day you find yourself totally dedicated just to serve Krishna. And your life will be the most wonderful life, because you are totally connected with Krishna, and you don't experience any inconvenience in life. Everything is just so wonderful. So this is what we want all to attain. So that's why coming to this stage of steadiness is good, because as we saw, we stop suffering, and the causes of suffering also, they go away, because we already understood very well that we are eternal servants of Krishna, and we should, as much as possible, engage in his service. It's for our benefit. Pure devotional service is for our benefit. Krishna has already so many devotees, and he's always happy, always blissful. It's for us who are suffering in this material world because we are separated from him. Remember, ignorance was the original cause of our suffering. So because of that original problem, forgetting Krishna, our loving relationship with Krishna, we have developed so many material desires. So now, and then we engage in many bad activities, and we suffer. We don't like to suffer. We don't like to suffer. Nobody likes to suffer. So the only way to deal with suffering is to stop our material activities, stop developing material desires, means stop ignorance. So we study these things in order to eliminate ignorance within our hearts. We are all eternal servants of Krishna. Because if you don't have this understanding, then yes, we identify with the body, we identify with whatever material situation you are in, and you are convinced that through that material situation, you're going to be happy. But we all know we cannot, nobody can succeed in being happy by material engagements. You can experience some enjoyments here and there, but not real happiness. There's no real happiness in material life. It's just moments, exciting moments in life. That's all, when we suffer less. Otherwise, life is just suffering. We are growing is suffering, old age is suffering, disease is suffering, death is suffering. There's suffering caused by natural sources, like sometimes too much rain, like so recently, because of this typhoon in Philippines, so many people suffer, and we suffer. So much suffering is there caused by nature, suffering caused by our minds and bodies, suffering caused by other living entities, like this virus, if it's a living entity. So there's so much suffering around us. And we know the only way to decrease suffering is to stop our material activities and and to stop material activities, we have to engage more in devotional activities. So means we have to become more steady, do more, do more, do more. And then gradually we become addicted to loving devotional service because it's the perfect engagement for our senses, it's a perfect engagement for our minds, it's a perfect engagement for everything. It's just so wonderful. So it's worthy. It's really worthy. You know, we just have to read more, study more, and associate more with devotees to become more convinced that our situation in the material world is very precarious and too much suffering, too much suffering. And we don't want to continue like that. Okay, we stop here. Thank you for your questions and comments. Very nice. Thank you for being there. Don't give up. We will continue studying because this is a science. You know, now we're just in the beginning, learning the very beginning. You're going to learn more things that are very useful, and they're going to boost our faith and our practice and make us more steady in our practice. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Rupa Goswami ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande,
Hari Hari
Hari
Bol.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you.